Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remove your hats as we welcome Grammy Award-winning artist and Raider Nation's own Judith Hill as she sings the national anthem of the United States of America.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the Rockies' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now, please welcome, to sing the national anthem of Great Britain, English classical crossover singer Camilla Kerslake.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save the Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the
After 6 o'clock here in London, Tower of London and Tower Bridge, a chilly, brisk, damp day. In fact, the Raiders the home team, but it's more feels like Seattle weather. Let's head down to the field and Laura Oakman.
Hi, Chris. Biggest thing Pete Carroll said he coached this week, outlook, telling his guys the jet lag, the sleep, the schedule. You could complain about all of it, but don't. Make the most of it. Take it all on, and that will lead to the mentality we play with. As for Oakland, Derek Carr said, no presentation, no PowerPoint. John Gruden had one message. We need to win a football game, whatever field we're on, whatever country we're in. Chris?
All right, thank you, Laura. John Gruden, a 9-year absence from coaching. He's 5 games in. Said his perspective, he hopes, has improved. Raiders won the toss, deferred. Seahawks back to receive. Matt McCrane ready to kick off Week 6. Raiders and Seahawks from London is happening. Rashad Penny on the return. And stopped short of the 20-yard line. An opening kickoff win for the Raiders special teams. Russell Wilson not running as much as he has in past seasons, but his wins most in team history. And since he won a starting job here in Seattle, not many other quarterbacks have had more success.
And I think that running element has to become a part of this offense moving forward. Pete Carroll said we've got to get him involved, but I think defenses are taking that away. They know that he's very dangerous on the edge in that zone read scheme. They're rolling the dice now with the inside runners.
On first down, Chris Carson picking up with that Seattle running game that has been clicking lately. And when you think about on the offensive line, JR and DJ, initial results positive. from Sweezy and Fluker working together.
Yeah, a couple of additions after those first couple weeks. These guys are not built to pass protect 40, 45 times a game. These are run guys up front, big bodies that want to get after the defensive front.
It's Chris Carson again, just across the 25, and it'll bring up a third down against a Raider defense that you pointed out is still kind of finding its way. They'll be without Frosty Rucker, out with a neck injury, leader up front on that defensive line.
Yeah, and it's really the cornerback position that they're trying to get really firmed up, and we'll keep an eye on that during the course of the game today. But this is going to be the key matchup. This Seattle offense, the offensive line in the run game against the defensive line linebackers of the Oakland Raiders.
From the 25-yard line on 3rd and 3. Straight ahead is Carson, and he's got the first down. Carson came in with a hot hand, averaging over 4.5 yards a carry.
And here's that zone read we're talking about. You watch Chris Carson on the handoff. Russell, you see 54, you see the linebacker, Emmanuel Lemur right there. He's outside to take away that decision by Russell Wilson. He's got to give that ball inside to the running back.
Carson in his second year from Oklahoma State, a 7th-round draft pick. Extra lineman in for Seattle. And Carson carries again. Got a big hole. He gets across the 40-yard line. Within a yard or two of another Seattle first down.
It was amazing to hear some of the guys talk after the game last week, how confident they are in running the ball. Look at the left side. They're just burying people downfield. You got people knocked back 3-4 yards down the field.
Chris Carson has won the starting running back job, coming off this team a season-high 190 yards rushing against a pretty good Ram defense. And trying to get the first down this time. First down, excuse me, the Raiders shove him back. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
That's one of the things that a good running game allows you to do. It allows you to stay ahead of the chains, and that's one of the great things that the Seahawks offense has been able to do over the last 3 weeks, is get themselves into very favorable down and distance situations on 3rd down.
And that's where they are here, Darryl, on 3rd down and 1. Mike Davis has come in at running back. He gets the football, and he gets the first down across the 45. Run after run. Every play in this opening drive has been a run, and a successful one.
Yeah, a tough start to the season at 0-2, but you see the big change that happened. Only 19 rushes per game. They're almost doubled that up to 36. Look at those numbers. And then, of course, the turnovers, because you're not dropping back the potential for sack fumbles. 12 sacks in those first 2 games, only 6 once you're starting to run the ball effectively, because, again, you're getting into favorable 3rd down situations.
Mike Davis remains in at running back, just beyond the Seattle 45. Davis hit hard, stopped short of midfield. Seahawks playing without Nick Van Etten. Back injury has kept him out, so Tyrone Swoops up from the practice squad, and Darrell Daniels, probably more of a blocking tight end, helping out here.
And it works perfect with those guys up front, and you see some of the key guys that are out. And then again, Kelechi Osemele again for the Oakland Raiders at that left guard position, so an impact on their offensive line again.
Pete Carroll at age 67, the oldest active head coach in the NFL, a year ahead of Bill Belichick. Rashad Penny is in, the rookie. Fake to him, Russell Wilson throws to Penny, and he's got room to go. Inside the 30 of the Raiders.
Really good play design here, because when you see play action, sometimes you forget about the potential for a screen, and as a defense you turn and try to find the receivers down the field. As Russell comes out to his right, he turns back, throws it backside to the screen, and a nice job by Justin Britt, the center, getting out in front to throw a key block.
A gain of 24. Penny didn't take a snap last week. Raiders have had trouble with the screen this year. For Moore, knocked away at the goal line. David Moore the target, and Darryl Worley, one of the positives on this Raider defense, kept the ball from getting to the receiver.
Yeah, a big physical receiver on the outside, David Moore. This is a great battle. Well done by the officials, letting him hand check down the sidelines. Both guys, Darryl Worley gets his head around some contact there, but I like the no call. Let him fight on the outside for possession.
Chris Carson back in at running back, gets the football straight ahead, gets inside the 25-yard line. Maurice Hurst, rookie from Michigan, who's been battling a shoulder injury, making the stop for the Oakland Raiders.
And that's when you know you're running the ball effectively. You'll come out and you'll take a shot on first down. If it's not there, you come back in, you run the ball on second down. So, you know, not only the players talking about how comfortable, how confident they are with this run game, but also you can see the coaches in their play calling.
Paul Gunther, defensive coordinator that John Gruden brought over from Cincinnati. On 3rd down and 8, a chance for the Raider defense to dig in. They have been unable to stop the Seahawks on this opening drive. Over the middle, that's complete. Inside the 5, Tyrone Swoops. That play had a kind of an awkward start to it. There was hesitation. What sounded like there was a whistle, but no flag.
But the big thing you had is you had the offense changing the play, or the defense trying to change the play at the line of scrimmage. They're communicating as the ball is snapped, and Tyrone Swoops gets beyond them, second level, wide open.
A gain of 23, 1st and goal Seahawks. Knocking on the door. Carson is slowed this time. It'll be 2nd and goal. Pretty impressive when the Seahawks have gotten into the red zone. 8 touchdowns on 10 possessions. They'll have a 2nd and goal from the 1. This will be the 13th play of this opening drive. The Raiders defense up against it here. Russell Wilson has it, floats it for the end zone, and overthrown. There's a flag down, and the ball hit the turf. He was trying to go to Darrell Daniels, and Tahir Whitehead was covering. Pete Morelli, our referee.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 59 defense. After this to the goal, automatic first down.
There's 59 Tahir Whitehead, you can see right there.
That's pretty obvious, right? Yeah.
That's not a tough one. That's not a tough one.
Grab the cloth. So a new set of downs for the Seahawks, who have held the ball for nearly 7 minutes to start this game. In position for a touchdown. It rained much of the night and morning. The field is damp, natural grass field here at Wembley. So they moved it up a bit, splitting the difference half the distance to the goal on the penalty. And there's a whistle before the snap and a flag down, and it's on the Seahawks. Looks like they're discussing a false
start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Pete Carroll is saying you didn't give me a number, so that we really fouled that up, but it backs him up. That affects your run a little differently here.
Oh, it's a huge penalty. I mean, you're inside the 1-yard line. Now you're back outside the 5-yard line. So obviously your play calling is going to be impacted a little bit. But I don't know. We've talked about the confidence this group has with their run game.
Pressure.
On 1st and goal, Carson trying to get inside the 5. And some pushing and shoving going on. As they say here, people getting a little shirty down there. Jonathan Hankins, over 320 pounds. 2nd and goal, that penalty. They didn't get much, no gain there. Wilson has thrown 3 passes, completed 2. The running game has them in scoring position. Doug Baldwin in motion. Russell Wilson. End zone throw, touchdown, and the Seahawks strike first. Jerron Brown. They were working on this when we saw them practicing on Friday here in London. I don't know if that was as orchestrated as they had hoped, but certainly the execution on the scoring play was.
And how about the fact that you've got a group of wide receivers out here, and you're going to be worried about Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin. We talked about David Moore as a big physical guy, and here comes Jerron Brown too, just kind of gets up the field. Nice job of finding that soft spot. You can see him working around the linebackers of the Oakland Raiders.
Former Raider Sebastian Janikowski kicking for the first time against the Raiders. They called him Seabass, and he's come up big for the Seahawks to add the extra point. And he does. What a drive to start the game for the Seahawks. 82 yards, more than 7 minutes, and a touchdown pass from Russell Wilson. Seattle leads in London. Aerial coverage is brought to you by State Farm. See the raindrops, temperature in the 50s. Field a little bit slick. They've had some soccer, a boxing match here at Wembley Stadium. Sebastian Janikowski ready to kick off. Born in Poland, moved to Florida in high school and then starred in soccer while taking up football, and drafted in the first round by the Raiders. Now, of course, a member of the Seahawks. Touchback, so it comes out to the 25-yard line. And our first look at the 5th-year quarterback, Derek Carr. Raider Nation cheering him on. They've been able to move the ball well. He's completing 71% of his passes. They just haven't put up enough points.
No, they're struggling when they get down to the red zone. They've had some mistakes. He leads the league in interceptions. You're trying to strike that balance right now of being aggressive but being smart with your decision making.
Likely to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. His first time running against the team he had all that success with, and there he goes. An offensive line that has some injuries up front.
And the big thing is, look at those 2 tackles. You've got rookies in both of those positions. John Feliciano takes over for Kelechi Osemele. So again, another young lineup, inexperience up front for the Oakland Raiders offensive line.
Marshawn Lynch hoping for a big game against his former teammates. Picked up 2. It's Lynch again. And stopped short of the 30-yard line. And on this defense up front, it was Frank Clark who said, I don't want to become one of Marshawn Lynch's victims, meaning I got to find a way to tackle him.
Exactly. You don't want to take that stiff arm and become a highlight play that ends up being shown over the next couple of seasons.
Lynch this time smothered. A swarm of Seahawks at the 25-yard line. 3 straight runs by the Raiders, who script their first 15 plays. John Gruden calls the plays, but mostly by the time you get to the 4th or 5th play, the script, you have to go off script. That was an unusual start given the situation, as Tyler Lockett is back to receive the punt of Johnny Townsend. A 3-and-out for the Raiders. Waving everybody away. An unimpressive punt goes out of bounds, and the Seahawks, who already have a 7-0 lead, should have excellent field position to try and get more. It was only a 28-yard punt. Some of what we've been able to enjoy since we've been over here in London getting ready for football. Derek Carr with his offensive coordinator sitting alongside Amari Cooper. 3-and-out on the Raider offense. So Seattle from beyond its own 45 on first down. Chris Carson. There's a stretch on the shirt, but he still gets 5 yards and a flag. Now you're allowed to pull the jersey, but you can't reach in for a horse collar, so we'll have to check the flag. That previous drive for Seattle, 14 plays, the most of any so far this season. They ran the ball 10 times and passed only 4.
Illegal block in the back. Number 68 offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Justin Britt is the number they called on the violation here.
Yeah, he's going to be coming from the right side of your screen right there, a block in the back, and that's just a little bit of hustle. He's getting to the outside. Sometimes you just got to trust your running back. He's going to be able to put his foot in the ground and get back upfield.
Tyre Whitehead, who had the penalty, also had the shirt. He leads the team in tackles and ripped jerseys, I guess. Carson the back as it backs up Seattle from their own 36 at 1st and 20. On a delay, Carson straight ahead, picks up 5, picks up 10. He's across the 50, but a flag down back where he was able to shake that run loose.
And this was one of the things in weeks 1 and 2 was getting behind the chains with penalties, some self-inflicted wounds, and we're seeing that on this drive.
Number 76, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
3-time Pro Bowler Dwayne Brown, the left tackle, called for that infraction.
You get into these situations, and now the passing game has to become its element of your offense. And even though these guys have talked about, hey, we found our identity, we feel like we can run the ball against anybody, we're going to use this the remainder of the season, you're going to have to strike that balance. You're going to come up against teams, you're going to be in situations. You've also got to be able to rely on Russell Wilson and his ability to extend plays and get the ball down the field.
Mike Davis, the running back, on first down and 28 yards to go. Tyler Lockett, the speedy one, on a catch across the 30. Let's get a game break. Say hi to Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Carissa. The Vikings, the only team in the league without a rushing touchdown this season until now. Latavius Murray with a 21-yard score. Vikings up 7-3. Chris?
All right, thank you. We'll be watching the scoreboard. The Dolphins leading the Bears 7-0. Washington is up on Carolina, all back in the States, of course. First of 3 NFL games to be played, consecutive weeks here in London. Second down, 25. Mike Davis trying to get outside. Fights hard, but stops short of the 40. It's going to be 3rd and long. Well, the Raider defense was challenged with that great field position of slowing down Seattle, but it was the penalties certainly that backed them up.
Yeah, self-inflicted, and it's one of the things that we've heard as we've gone through the season talking to the various teams we get an opportunity to visit with, and it really becomes that margin of error. And both of these teams we talked about being in stages of transition, they're still going to have that small margin of error.
Need to get all the way inside the 45-yard line of the Raiders for a first down. On 3rd down, Russell Wilson in the pocket. It's batted away and almost intercepted. Diving for it on the defensive line was P.J. Hall, but Hurst deflected the football. So the Raider defense digs in.
Well, digs in. A little bit of help from that Seattle offense up front with those penalties, but I think that team really dodged a big bullet right there. I mean, Seattle absolutely controlled the flow of the game on that opening drive, and when Oakland went 3 and out, that was a huge series, and a little bit of help from Seattle to give Oakland the ball back right here. They're going to need to come out and do something effectively.
And this punt goes out of bounds. Michael Dickerson, the rookie, the accomplished Australian rules football player, with the boot. Fans having a ball, and you can see that no matter where you're from or what team you're rooting for, a collection of jerseys, Dolphins, Packers. This game belongs to the Raiders and Seahawks, and Michael Dixon with that 50-yard punt, and a good one. Raiders back to their 12-yard line on their second possession. Fake to Marshawn Lynch. Carr in the pocket underneath. Lynch with the reception and gets up to the 25-yard line.
It's so funny to listen to the guys talk about their opportunity to play against Marshawn Lynch. Number one, how great of a teammate he was in Seattle, but a little of them, kind of nervous about that opportunity in the open field to tackle him, and as you pointed out earlier, not wanting to be a part of that highlight video on a missed tackle, but you see the physicality as he finishes the run. They're always going forward, Marshawn Lynch.
A gain of 13 yards, had trouble running on 3 straight attempts on the previous series, but already up to the 25. Fake to Lynch, Carr with time, and open is Cooper, Amari Cooper, across midfield, a flag down, back inside the 20, where Carr let the football go.
Holding. Number 76, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Well, that call is on John Feliciano, who's playing for the injured Kelechi Osemele, the left guard.
Again, both of these teams making the critical mistakes at left guard, going up against Shamar Stephen. And you do everything right. You get the play action, you've got your wide receiver coming across the field, you get a splash play, and it comes back because of a penalty.
Last week, Amari Cooper was targeted just once. That penalty wipes a 27-yard gain off the board. Jalen Richard comes in at running back at 1st and 20. Back inside their own 15-yard line. Raiders with Carr on the move. Dumps it off. Richard gets up across the 30-yard line.
Again, one of the things that Derek Carr will do as he moves forward with that decision-making of being aggressive but also being smart is checking it down. We saw it on that first play to Marshawn Lynch. Now you give him some screens. A lot of quarterbacks in that situation get him into the flow of the game, get him into a rhythm. And you can see he's close with a nice throw to Amari Cooper there that was unfortunately brought back. 2nd down 14. Greg Olson, offensive coordinator, who was in Oakland when Carr won his first game as an NFL starter, and has returned under John Gruden. He was with the Rams running their offense last year under Sean McVay. Carr under pressure goes down inside the 10, and Frank Clark gets his 4th sack of the season and a flag down up around the 36-yard line.
Prior holding. Number 26, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Wow.
That's on Shaquille Griffin, and so that'll wipe out the sack and, more importantly, a fresh set of downs for the Raiders.
Yeah, it was a great move inside by Frank Clark, but you've got a hold on the play. Right here you can see the tug beyond 5 yards. I mean, there's no reason to hold Jordy Nelson in that position. I don't know what Shaquille Griffin was doing there.
Penalties affecting both teams in this opening quarter. Now 1st down from the 25. Marshawn Lynch is back in. Lynch has it. And boy, took a couple of Seahawks with him across the 30-yard line. Looked like he was going to be slowed for a 2-yard gain.
It was really played well by Seattle's defense. They strung it out. They didn't really give Marshawn Lynch any running room, but watch while he finishes these runs. I mean, his legs are always moving. This looks like you said, Chris, it's going to be a 2-yard gain. Look how well they play that. They string it out. But when you pull it up, you look at the positive yards, and it's 2nd and 5.
At age 32, running as hard as he ever has, according to the Raiders. 2nd down 5. Carr on the move. Throws it away. 29 seconds remaining here in this opening quarter.
And things are going to have to come out quick. They have to understand that they've got a rookie left tackle who's a little nicked up. He's got a right knee. Brandon Parker makes his first start at right tackle last week. You've got John Feliciano at left guard. So, 3 of your 5 up front, a little bit of inexperience there. That ball's going to need to come out. They can't be holding that football in the pocket against this Seattle front.
Doug Martin, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, is in at running back. On 3rd and 5 from the Raider 30. Carr under pressure. The ball is out. Fumble recovered for a moment, and the Seahawks have come up with it. Jaron Reed dove in before the Raider offensive lineman could get to it.
We just talked about this. You know, it's Frank Clark. It was the #1 concern of John Gruden coming into this game. Now that speaks volumes, because a lot of coaches will talk about Russell Wilson and his ability to extend plays in that passing game. John Gruden was worried about Frank Clark going up against 2 young tackles. He's already had 1 sack that was called back with that defensive holding penalty. Now a sack fumble there.
So he does get his 4th sack of the season. And Clark was in the hospital with food poisoning last week, was still able to play in the game. Want to make sure the car's okay. There's some chin wagging going on over there, as they say here in England. David Moore inside the 20. And that should bring an end to the opening quarter. Dominated by Seattle. An opening drive that produced a touchdown. And now a takeaway after a rash of penalties for both teams. Here at Wembley Stadium, Seahawks have taken to the field, protecting a 7-0 lead, trying to add more after 1 quarter. The NFL on Fox. Derek Carr looking, and those are just still photos. Video during the game on the sidelines not allowed, with his offensive coordinator and backup quarterback and the first quarter statistics.
Yeah, obviously controlled by Seattle. A lot of key penalties in that first quarter, but hopefully what Derek Carr saw in that situation was, hey, if Frank Clark is one-on-one with our left tackle who's got a bad knee, how about a chip? How about a running back going that way? I mean, Frank Clark got around that quarter quick to make that sack fumble.
From the Oakland 19, Carson stopped. The Seahawks came in with 3 straight games with a 100-yard rusher. And really, since Marshawn Lynch left 3.5–4 seasons ago, they have not ranked in the top 20 in terms of running the football, but they may have found something with Carson and then Mike Davis and sprinkling in the rookie Rashad Penny. C.J. Prosise is inactive for this game. Now Davis comes in, averaging just under 5 yards a carry, and splits out as a receiver. On a 3rd and 5. Ball's bobbled, but Wilson has it for the end zone. Wide open catch made. David Moore has a Seahawk tumbling touchdown over the Raider logo and beyond the Raider defense. Ruled a touchdown. Let's make sure his feet were in. He has to have 2 down and control of the football.
Sure looked like he did. There's possession. 1 foot, 2nd foot. The big thing is Russell Wilson when this breaks down. Again, we talked about his ability to scramble and do things.
It has been confirmed, reviewed. All scoring plays are.
On that play, the one thing that Russell always says he does when those plays break down, my eyes are downfield. I'm always looking to pass. Finds David Moore open for the touchdown.
3rd touchdown already for Moore, and the Seahawks are up 14. David Moore, 3rd touchdown of his career, all since halftime of last week in his 2nd year from East Central Oklahoma. Drafted in the 7th round, but the Seahawks have caught on with him as Janikowski kicks off. And 14-0 lead, protected touchback. Oakland out to the 25-yard line.
And remember how that play all started. It was a bad snap to Russell Wilson, and he bobbled a little bit. Watch Darryl Worley right there. His guys are in the backfield. You had a bad snap. You've got Russell Wilson coming at you from the quarterback position, climbing in that pocket. That's where the separation happened for David Moore.
Raiders wanted to give the ball. Excellent job keeping his feet in. Wilson now with a couple of touchdown passes. Raiders were hoping to give the ball 20 times to Marshawn Lynch, but trailing 14-0 here. Carr comes out throwing and incomplete. Trying to get the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Let's go down to the field and Laura.
Something to keep our eye on when it comes to this field surface. Chris, you talked about it earlier. It's a soccer field. It's a grass, but there's deso in it, which is plastic. This entire field is 5% plastic. And what they do is they can't resod this field, so that thickens it. but there's been a lot of events, and this rain is constant. It's getting slicker and slicker, Chris.
Thank you. Raider coaches said they thought the lengthier cleats are what they were going to have to wear for better grip. In the past, players have complained, even without rain, how slick and slippery the field is. Marshawn Lynch across the 32. A flag comes late back at the 21-yard line.
Holding. Number 86 offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Well, that's on backup tight end Lee Smith, and that will back up the Raiders. Jared Cook, the starting tight end for the Raiders, Darryl, came in as the team's leading receiver. They haven't attempted to throw the ball to him yet. Maybe they're going to lean on him or those tight ends to help those rookie tackles more.
Well, it's an offense. It's going to have opportunities for everybody in that skill position. Jared Cook, a tough matchup at the tight end position, but the penalties right now, for both of these teams, especially Oakland, every time they do something positive, it's impacted by a penalty.
They've had a history of penalty problems. Carr has time. That's a low throw and incomplete. Amari Cooper slow to get up. Bradley McDougall, who leads the team, the Seattle team in tackles, delivered the hit.
And this is one of those hits. This is what the rules committee is trying to create. Watch, you're going to have a player. Bradley McDougall's going to come in. Is it helmet to helmet?
Did not.
It looked like it was all shoulder at game speed. And that's what they're trying to do.
The helmets do make contact, but it looked like he led with the shoulder, or at least he intended to.
Yeah, Jared Cook is signaling that he thinks it's helmet to helmet. You look at that, it's slow motion, and it really did look like it was a helmet to helmet contact by Bradley McDougall.
Amari Cooper is the injured Raider. Amari Cooper was able to stand up and walk over toward the sideline, headed to the locker room on that hit from Bradley McDougall. There was no penalty flag. And it looked like our rules analyst, Dean Blandino, said there was helmet to helmet that could have been called.
Yeah, and at game speed, I really thought he came in with a clean hit. I thought it was more shoulder. I didn't think he was up near the head and neck area, too. You're potentially have defenseless player and implications there as well. Afterward,
Darryl, McDougall, once Cooper got up, made it a point to go over and talk to him to make sure he was okay, as if to say, hey, trying to make a clean play. So from the Legion of Caring, head-to-head battle here. Jalen Richard in at running back. Bigger hole for the Raiders on 3rd and 20. From their own 15, Carr with room to run. He throws to Richard, who can fly, but can he get the first down? Yes! Looked like he slid across that 35-yard line with the football. And all you need is for that ball to cross the plane. And he got the first down.
And this is one of the things that John Gruden wanted to see Derek Carr do. Extend the play. Again, it's Frank Clark. Watch the left side of your screen. He's going to beat Colt Miller immediately again. So you're out on the edge. Use that athleticism. Find your receiver down the field. Great job converting a 3rd and long.
Richard in the top 10 running backs. 25th catch of the season. A gain of 21 on a 3rd down play. And first down, Marshawn Lynch. Seahawks have done a good job on the running game, bottling him up. Let's get a game break. Say hello to Kurt Menefee. Kurt.
Hello, Chris. Raider fans have seen Alex Smith do this. Seahawks fans, they remember Paul Richardson doing that. The two hook up now with Washington for the quick score, and look at this, 14-0. They lead 3-1 Carolina early on in the 2nd quarter.
Thank you, Kurt. Well, what a surprise the way Washington looked in their Monday night game against the Saints and Drew Brees, but in control today. Carr is smothered, and the flag comes in late as he went down inside the 35. Quentin Jefferson and Jaron Reed. Reed's the one who came up with that fumble earlier, converged on Carr.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
But just not able to finish the plays cleanly. Seattle's defense does a great job with the pressure on Derek Carr. They're going to have the sack, but you get a face mask involved in there amidst all those guys.
It looked like Jefferson, number 99, Quentin Jefferson, although an official number was not given. So to the 47 of Seattle on that penalty, and the Raiders' best position so far. Martavis Bryant is in at the bottom of your screen at receiver. He's moving up in motion. Carr from Marshawn Lynch on the reception. And right away, nowhere to go. Barkevius Mingo got to him first.
One of the guys that Pete Carroll talked to us about, you know, a great addition here for Seattle, and you know, you bring him in as a strong side linebacker, and with KJ Wright out of the lineup, he's shifted over and played some weak side in their nickel, and for Kenny Norton right there, the defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, they've got a guy now who's showing skill sets in multiple positions in that front.
Norton again spent some time with the Raiders coaching staff back in Seattle. Quite a few of those players, people from one team to the other here. Doug Martin in after a loss of 3, and Carr throws complete to the 44-yard line. And it is Doug Martin who makes the catch. Doug Martin went to the same high school as our referee, Pete Morelli. Pete Morelli was the principal of Doug Martin's high school, St. Mary's High in Stockton, California. There is Principal Morelli, ready with his whistle. Boy, they've been using that a lot already. 3rd down and 5. Pass caught. There's Cook for a first down. Jared Cook inside the 35 of Seattle on a catch that gives the Raiders, after an 8-yard gain, a first down.
Yeah, he's a big matchup challenge against defenses. Big, tall, athletic tight end. Just a quick solution, and that's what's going to happen today. It's one of those design screens where you've got the receiver going out, and watch your receivers get to their blocks right here. It's timed up really well, so you don't have any offensive pass interference, but a design play for Jared Cook.
Richard, maybe a yard. Yeah, Jared Cook, as Bobby Wagner makes the tackle. Jared Cook, the 10-year veteran, former Titan, St. Louis Ram, and Green Bay Packer, off to a good start, as we said, ranking 2nd among NFL tight ends in catches through week 5. Zach Ertz of the Eagles leading the way, but the top receiver on this team, and when you think about Jordy Nelson, who was one of the top guys catching footballs in the opening quarter, Raiders haven't gone to him. He hasn't had a catch yet. Got a timeout, Raiders.
This is Oakland's first team timeout.
A little bit of a hesitation there. We welcome you to the booth here in Wembley. Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers, Laura Oakman down on the field. She'll give us an update on Amari Cooper. It's been all Seattle, yet if the Raiders can do something on this drive, Daryl, it tilts the game a little bit more in their favor.
It really does. They're going to have an opportunity. The best play for the Raiders right now has been Seattle penalties. You know, Seattle has committed some critical penalties out here, and we've had one on a face mask earlier in this drive. So let's use the luck that they've been able to take advantage, you know, by Seattle and put some points in here right now. It'd be huge for them because, as you pointed out, Seattle has really controlled the game the whole first half up until this point.
And the only turnover, that fumble by Carr on the sack, Seahawk recovery. After the Raider timeout, and 2 remaining this half, Carr high but caught, and there's Jordy Nelson, but not a whole lot of gain on that one. Shaquille Griffin shoving him backwards right away.
But this is going to be the situation. I mean, Oakland has to avoid these 3rd and longs, or you're going to have to throw it underneath and hope that your guys can run after the catch for the first down. We saw Jalen Richard do that earlier in this drive, but I just don't know. The pressure from Frank Clark coming off the edge, this Seattle defense really collapsing that pocket on Derek Carr.
They need 8 for a first down. They need a few more for a field goal try. I don't know that they're comfortable from this range, given their rookie place kicker. Carr is going to run for a first down and slide at the 20-yard line. And that's what John Gruden said he wanted to see more of. Unscripted plays. I want my quarterback running for first downs.
Exactly. Watch Frank Clark coming from the left. He's going to get pushed by the pocket. So you, number one, watch your depth. You're not going to be able to drop too far. Step up, and then once you recognize that man coverage, tuck it away, get that yardage for the first down.
And he did. 22-yard line. It's only the 8th time that Carr has run with the football this year. That did not look like it was designed that way. What's that? Marshawn Lynch.
I think the big thing for Derek Carr is how excited he was when he talked to us on Friday. Really kind of for the first time having an offensive-minded head coach. Tony Sparano came in after Dennis Allen was let go during the season as an interim head coach, but this is the first guy that he's had that's really all about the quarterback and the offense. Just John Gruden's mindset when they get into the red zone, on third downs, everything is going to be pro-quarterback. The daily schedule is set up to take advantage of Derek Carr when he needs to watch film, when his meeting time is going to be. So it's very, very quarterback-friendly this time around for Derek Carr.
And Gruden said, if you don't like Derek Carr, then you just don't like human beings. He's the nicest guy you'll ever want to meet. Can he produce on this play? And Lynch couldn't hold on to the football. Yeah, he was telling you the volume of plays and personnel groupings in Gruden's offense, but for a quarterback, his 4th different offense he's been in his 5th year, Gruden likes the verbiage that he sends into the quarterback. One play he shared with you had 14 words in it, and everybody has to know what they're doing on that.
It's very verbose, and the system that Coach Gruden uses is more, about words than it is numbers. I came from a very different system than this one. So when Derek Carr said that play, I was like, wow, that is impressive. Every snap call in that one.
And he has to call this on 3rd and 11. Avoids the rush for a moment, but gets sacked way back at the 33-yard line. Brandon Jackson made the play for Seattle. And that could affect the field goal possibility here.
Yeah, we're getting both edges now. Remember, we've got young guys. Brandon Parker's first start at right tackle was last week, and this is only start number 2. And we've got Frank Clark coming off edges. Now we've got Jacob Martin coming off edges.
So Matt McCrane, the undrafted free agent who was signed by the Cardinals earlier this season, his 3rd game with Oakland. This is about where they're comfortable with his range. 48 yards away. The kick is up and off the mark. Had enough leg, just missed to the left. And this is how close the Raiders were to getting on the board. They trail here 14-0. Seahawk defense working hard here in chilly London. You can't tell, sweating it out. 3 sacks already of Derek Carr. That last one pushed him back into shaky field goal range of the missed kick of 48 yards. Russell Wilson, catch made by the sideline. Doug Baldwin on the grab.
Yeah, so let's go back and take a look at that, Chris. I mean, you make a good point. Now, watch this pocket collapse, though. What is Derek Carr supposed to do? Here comes Jacob Martin from your right side. Everything collapses. Good rush lane integrity up front. There's nowhere for him to go, and everybody's going to say you can't take a sack like that in that position from the 23. Now we're pushed back to the 30. We're right on the cusp of that. I don't know what else you want Derek Carr to do in that situation.
Penny carries, not much he could do to avoid that. And with their kicker, Matt McCrane, he came and he replaced Mike Nugent, who went on the injured reserve with a hip problem after week 3. So McCrane was somebody that said, let's get here. And they're not as comfortable anything beyond the 30-yard line. So in that 47, 48-yard range, especially outdoors, damp conditions with a breeze, a missed opportunity all the way around for the Raiders. And a first down in Raider territory for the Seahawks. Russell Wilson with plenty of time. He's airing it out deep for Baldwin. Doug Baldwin can't get to it in the end zone.
To be able to take shots like this down the field, you've got to be able to have your quarterback stand in the pocket. That's what this run game is doing. Doug Baldwin sells it a little bit to the outside. Now he's going on the deep cross. Back to the opposite side of the field. Russell Wilson just misses him.
Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie was closing, but it was more an overthrow. And look at the turf of Wembley. Seahawks wearing it. 2nd down 10. Raider defense seems like they've been on the field all of this first half. It's been quite a bit. Penny, Rashad Penny gets down inside the 45. The rookie from San Diego State, first-round draft pick that other people around the league said, what? Who are they selecting that high? But the Seahawks say given time, he'll fit right into things.
Well, they like their rotation that they have at running back, and a lot of Seahawk fans wondering why Rashad Penny didn't have more snaps last week in that game. He'll find his role here. You know, he missed some time in training camp. He admitted he fell behind. The other guys have kind of moved ahead of him. Now you just got to be patient, go through the process, work hard during the course of the week, gain confidence in your coaches to put you out there.
He had a very productive college career. He had a timeout, looks like. And Seattle calls this one. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Russell Wilson, a couple of touchdown passes. Seahawks lead 14-0 and on the move again here on offense. Raider Nation represented here along with the 12s. A lot of Raider and Seahawk fans. Just football, NFL, American football fans here at Wembley Stadium. Important 3rd and 4. The Raider defense, up to them to keep this game from getting out of hand. From the Raider 44, Russell Wilson, quick pass, catch made. Baldwin fell down short, and he's frustrated because he could have run for that first down marker, and that's some of the slick field that we've talked about between the rain and the dampness here, and they're going to stay. Let's see, there's a flag down, or is there? All right, no flag. They're indicating that they want to go for it on 4th. At least that's what Russell Wilson is indicating. There's the flag. It came in late. And maybe it was Doug Baldwin throwing the ball down in frustration. I don't know. Let's see.
After the play was over, delay of game, illegal spiking of the ball, number 89, offense, 5-yard penalty, and loss of down. 4th down.
Well, that takes away the going for it on 4th possibility.
Yeah, and in those situations, Doug Baldwin is an emotional player. There's a little bit of frustration there. You know, he got hurt in the beginning of the season. You know, now this identity that we're talking about with the running game is kind of cutting into his job description. You know, we're running the football a lot more. His opportunities are lessened, so a little bit of frustration there, some emotion he just got to keep under control.
So Michael Dixon, the rookie, drafted in the 5th round for Texas. As we mentioned, an Australian rules football player in his native Sydney when he was younger. High kick, fair catch at the 10-yard line, and an excellent kick. The Major League Baseball postseason continuing tomorrow. Game 3 of the NLCS. Shifting to Dodger Stadium. Manny Machado and the Dodgers hosting Christian Yelich and the Brewers. It's even at 1-1. Best of 7. Catch it all tomorrow on FS1 and on the Fox Sports app. Talking baseball, Russell Wilson was drafted by the Colorado Rockies. He actually spent a couple of years playing minor league baseball, and this spring training was working out with the Yankees. Actually got it at bat. Inside the 10, Raiders with Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. Fake to him. Carr has plenty of room. Completes to Harris, who breaks one tackle. Ball comes out and squirts out of bounds across the first down marker, but let's check the spot. Dwayne Harris, known for his return ability. A backup receiver.
Yeah, but a tough guy. He's tough on his returns, and he's tough when he has the football in his hands after the catch. Not
enough so marked where the fumble began. Pitch to Marshawn Lynch. Puts a move on, but an ankle tackle. He falls down at the 20, just short of the first down. Ford with a nice ankle play. Let's get an update from Laura.
Carr is one weapon down. Amari Cooper, I was right on that sideline, right in front of him after that hit. It was vicious. He went limp right away. The good news is we all saw he bounced up, came off to the sideline, told everybody I'm fine. Those doctors and athletic trainers got on him so quickly, took him into the locker room where he remains being evaluated for a concussion.
On 3rd down and 1, Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. Inside their own 20, Lynch, of course, getting the football, and yes, he gets the first down. Let's get a game break with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. You know how to help a rookie quarterback have a good defense. Chandler Jones strip sack and recovered by Budda Baker for this 36-yard score. We are all tied up at 10 in Minnesota. Chris, Darrell, and Laura.
Cardinals trying to win for the second straight game, and the Vikings, remember they were upset at home by the Buffalo Bills, an early season favorite, as Carr has all kinds of time. Seth Roberts slips a tackle, and he dances up near a first down inside the 35 of the Raiders. With Amari Cooper out, Brandon LaFell is inactive, so you have Roberts, Jordy Nelson, Martavis Bryant, who seems like always carries some drama with him, the ex-Steeler, and Dwayne Harris, who we saw moments ago in some pain on the sideline.
Yeah, you could be down to 3 healthy wide receivers for this Raider offense here near the end of the first half.
Richard in at running back after a pickup of 9. Well protected. Carr to Roberts. Gets a first down to the 40. Nearing the 2-minute warning. Both teams 2 timeouts remaining.
This is one of those situations that Derek Carr talked about, being aggressive with John Gruden as head coach.
We visited the Tower of London. They tried to keep us in there. That was fun. Piece of halftime report coming up with all the highlights. You see Justin Murray, number 71, a backup for the backup at left guard. Injuries on the offensive line.
Yeah, and that's a guy who's usually your swing tackle. Justin Murray covers both your tackle spots, but John Feliciano covers guard, center guard. He was already in for Kelechi Osemele.
Feliciano with a rib injury. Carr, low throw. Richard scoops it. So Carr has now hit 9 out of his last 10 passes. The one that he missed was the Marshawn Lynch drop, even though some of those throws have gone a little bit low, but he's trying to stay in that pocket as long as he can.
Well, that pocket's just not staying structurally sound for him very long. So again, we just hit on these changes in the offensive line for the Oakland Raiders, and that's really pushing that clock, that mental clock inside Derek Carr's head faster.
After that 2-minute warning, Raiders hoping to get something before the half and leave little time for Seattle. On 2nd and 7. Carr, Seth Roberts. And he gets close to a first down going out of bounds. Roberts got the first down.
And this would be a huge drive just to get any points, to go in at halftime with some points, and you're going to get the ball to start the second half. You deferred at the beginning of the game, so you're trying to string together back-to-back possessions, end of the first half, start of the second half. This is huge for John Gruden in this offense right now if they can get some points here.
From midfield with 2 timeouts. A missed field goal is the closest the Raiders have come. Pressure and incomplete. Boy, if he had gotten it to Richard, he had room to run. Jaron Reed put the heat on.
I mean, the big thing is you're getting the push here, which is forcing him to step up into the pocket. Now you've got your inside guys working. I mean, it's really well done. It's coordinated well right now by the Seattle defensive line.
And Bobby Wagner was back there, little linebacker, maybe with a chance for a pick, but thrown into the turf after the heat from Reed. Underneath Richard, Seahawks were ready for that. He'll lose yardage. Thrown down by Jaron Reed, who's having a heck of a first half.
Yeah, really the guy that did this one, though, Chris, I'll give this one to Trey Flowers. You know, your cornerback, you've got a big offensive lineman coming out, you know, to block on the screen, and he kind of creates a big pile and allows the inside pursuit to get out there and make the play.
Flowers, the rookie from Oklahoma State at the corner spot, somebody that Pete Carroll pointed out to us at Friday's practice as a guy who's really come on well in this reshaped Seattle defense. Need to get to the 40 on 3rd down. Carr has time, goes underneath, and this time Richard, well, he falls forward with a couple of Seahawks. It's going to be close.
Great job by Barkevius Mingo coming from the back, because I agree. I think that Richard is going to have an opportunity to get that first down, and 51 knocks him back.
He's a half a yard short on 4th down. They're going for it. Carr on the quarterback sneak.
Wow.
The line is just kind of a superimposed mark for you to get an idea.
That's not a really well executed quarterback sneak by Derek Carr in that situation.
I mean, he's 6'3", he's 215 pounds.
I love the fact that they got up to the line of scrimmage and tried to catch Seattle off guard and get that snap quick, but the execution by Derek Carr as the quarterback in the quarterback sneak was not very good.
And John Gruden is talking to Jared Cook, and I'm sure it's about blocking or the positioning, because the Raiders really missed a chance there. John Gruden, who signed that, so we look at the offensive possessions, that 10-year, $10 million, reportedly $10 million a year deal. He's a minted guy, as they would say over here. And they're reviewing the spot. Under 2 minutes, it's up to the booth upstairs to review the spot. That's what they're doing. Pete Morelli and the officiating crew, replay home office in New York for the league, looking at this as well.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get the spot, but let's focus on Derek Carr. I mean, okay, it's stuffed up a little bit, but there's not a...
And see, Jared Cook was behind. He was not up blocking. I think that's why John Gruden got on the tight end. You got to be up there opening some room up for your quarterback, but that is so difficult. Is there enough there to overturn anything?
I don't think they're going to get it overturned. It's just too hard in that situation. But again, love the play call. It just didn't have it executed the right way.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Seattle.
Well, that's where it stands.
And you saw the graphic that we had up there with the drives. That's 26 plays for the Oakland Raider offense with 0 points. I mean, that is backbreaking going in at halftime.
And Gruden's plan was get the first down, and look, we'll control the clock and the scoreboard, at least in this final drive before the half, and then get the football. Instead, Seattle with a chance, 2 timeouts and under 40 seconds to strike. Russell Wilson for the sideline throw, and Moore, did he hang on and stay in bounds? The official says yes, David Moore made the catch.
I tell you, Russell Wilson has developed some trust and some chemistry with David Moore quickly.
They didn't give anybody a chance to review his feet on the sideline. There's a flag down, Russell Wilson down inside the 35. It's an illegal shift on Seattle after a 28-yard pass play prior to that penalty. Wilson has 8 completions for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, on the Raiders side, Derek Carr, 14 completions, but he has yet to hit the 100-yard mark in passing yards. And the turnover in this game that Seattle was able to score upon helped build the 14-0 lead.
Please set the game clock, 34 seconds. Illegal shift, players were not set, which by rule turns into a false start. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Well, what it still does is not allow the booth to review that sideline catch by Moore, but we can review it. Magic of television, you're an analyst, analyze.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it because I would love to see the finish of this. And again, it's great chemistry. You know, it's pretty good coverage by Darryl Worley right there. But look at David Moore's got his eyes back. He's tracking it. He goes up. They call it high pointing the football. Gets it at his highest point. Control. 1 foot down. 2 foot down. Good. I think it's a good catch anyways.
It was an outstanding catch. Feed in. Penalty backs him up 5 on 1st and 15. Wilson underneath and incomplete off the hands of Mike Davis. 30 seconds remain. Still the 2 timeouts. Sebastian Janikowski, the Raiders kicker, at one time before joining Seattle, has kicked a 63-yarder. That's when he was a little bit younger, maybe a little slimmer too, but he still has good range. They need to pick up 10 or 15 to give him a shot. Wilson can run if he chooses. He hesitated and went out of bounds, so they save a timeout. And on a 3rd down, didn't chew up too much time.
Maybe the biggest surprise about last week, you know, you get ready for this game and you find out Russell Wilson without a rushing attempt last game. So that's his first one in a couple of weeks right there on the scramble.
Well, Pete Carroll said he has to run the football to keep our offense going at its best. On 3rd and 10 from the 31. Underneath Mike Davis. Wow. 2 Raiders went sideways. Rogers Cromartie one of those, but stopped short of the first down, and it looks like they go for the field goal here. They're going to let the clock run down. Call timeout with just enough time on 4th down. Let's check in backstage.
Jolly old Visa halftime. We'll talk about the game in England. Plus, the Chargers try to say cheerio to the Browns, and the Colts and Jets play a good old-fashioned American football game. It's all coming up on the Visa halftime.
Oh, cheerio.
Southern English hillbilly. What was that?
Sir Bradshaw, I don't know if they would take to him over here. Well, his sense of humor travels well. Janikowski with a 44-yard try. It's up there. It's out there. And he worked it in there. It's good. Time expires at the end of the first half with the one-time Raider kicker delivering for the Seahawks and a 17-0 Seattle lead. Couple of touchdown passes from Russell Wilson. Seattle defense shutting out the Raider offense.
An opportunity for the Raiders to get points at the end of the first half, and they give Seattle an opportunity, and Sebastian Janikowski makes some plays, sneaks it inside that right upright.
And the closest the Raiders came was a field goal try missed by McCrane, and that was 47 yards that was off the mark. Enjoying the game in Wembley. It's always fun. You've been here before as a player, right? You've been going back, and now as a broadcaster. And there's a healthy vibe, regardless of the score here, with some of the players, the team, and the fans.
Yeah, one of the funnest things we do is we get to see all the 32 jerseys that are out there. You know, we got Steeler fans walking with Ravens fans. It's great. They love it over here, and it's always fun to be a part of it.
The London games, and this is the first of 3 consecutive weeks. First time that the Seahawks have played here in London. The Raiders have been here before. Let's look at the play of the first half presented by DirecTV. More for your thing. That's our thing. And speaking of more, it was Moore's 19-yard touchdown catch as the Seahawks have the halftime lead here in London. For today's game flow, brought to you by Progressive. Couple of touchdown passes for Russell Wilson here at Wembley Stadium. Fans returning from the halftime break. Sebastian Janikowski, who added a field goal, is ready to kick off to start this third quarter. Dwayne Harris will let that sail over out to the 25-yard line. Darryl Johnston, Chris Myers, and while the Seahawks have won 2 of their last 3 games coming in, you started the broadcast, Darryl, saying they're on to something. They've run well. They've played very good defense. Let's talk about what the Raiders have to do to get back into this football game.
Well, they've got to stop making mistakes. And rule number 1 in football is don't beat yourself. And in that first half, the Oakland Raiders were their own worst enemy with penalties, with turnovers. 26 plays in 2 drives, and they came away with 0 points. The margin for error is so small because what they're dealing with right now in this season with the roster and everything at this time, with the health of their team, they can't continue to make these mistakes.
And we saw how small that margin of error was, less than a yard when they went on 4th down. And here, Marshawn Lynch looked like he'd lose yardage, maybe gained a half a yard. He's had tough sledding against his former team. Let's check in with Laura.
John Gruden had one thing on his mind. I asked him about defense first, and he immediately went offense and said, we simply have to find out who's healthy enough to play on the offensive line, adjust our receivers, find a way to pass protect and run the ball. Every time we made a big play, we had a penalty. It's tough. We got to simply find 5 healthy guys and get something done.
Lynch has carried 9 times for just 14 yards. And Laura, they're down to their 3rd string guard, and now another sack of Derek Carr. Quentin Jefferson and Frank Clark involved in this one.
They're in a situation right now when John Gruden talks about we've got to find 5 healthy offensive linemen and we've got to find a way to play football. You can't hold the ball. The ball has to come out very quick. I know this is play action and you're expecting somebody to pop, but you can see there's just not enough time to stand in the pocket and hold the football for Derek Carr.
So the play calling has to be adjusted given.
Absolutely adjusted. You've got 2 tackles that have been struggling all afternoon.
It's a 4th sack of the game of Carr. 3rd and 16. Here comes another one. Ball comes out, and the Seahawks have it. He turned over another one. Jacob Martin comes up with the fumbled football. Well, that's the worst thing that Gruden, he said, you saw him say, that's my fault. Maybe it's on the play call, but that's the worst thing this Raider team wanted to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is on John Gruden, and it's good for him to take that one because, again, Colton Miller is struggling in the one-on-one situation against Frank Clark. There's ways to do this. You line up a tight end on that side. You release your back to that side. You know that you've got a bad matchup. He was your #1 concern coming into the game, and he has proven you true. He is taking this game over from the rush end position.
And the frustrating part, 2 rookie tackles, but the Raiders are the oldest team in the NFL. The age on the roster. That's Carson carries, and inside the 10 a flag.
Holding, number 78. Offense, 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
That's on DJ Fluker. That's Danny Jesus. That's what the initials stand for. But that penalty, the 8th accepted against Seattle in this game. They had a problem last year. Most penalized team in the league. Been better this year. But both teams sloppy in this game.
And this score could be worse than 17-0 right now if Seattle is really their own worst enemy at times in the first half as well. There was opportunities there for them to take it over, and they didn't take advantage of that.
1st down at 20. Back beyond the 21 of the Raiders. Russell Wilson is going to get sacked at the 29-yard line. The Raiders with a defensive play by Arden Key, the rookie from LSU.
And this is a great job by the secondary of the Oakland Raiders because this is a coverage sack. And, you're going to hold the ball that long. You're going to run the risk of somebody finally coming through. You're going to step up. Now you're going to pull back out. You just got to feel that. You got to take a look over there to your blind side, make sure it's clear. Russell Wilson got it right at the last second, probably prevented a turnover.
In previous years, Russell Wilson would have taken off and run. He said he wasn't as bothered by the hamstring that's listed on the injury report, but still not running with that same authority. Chris Carson slips a Raider tackle. Carson inside the 10. A strong run from Chris Carson.
Well, sometimes it's a great run, sometimes it's poor tackling. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is going to come in right here and just not a very good effort in the open field to make a play. I mean, somebody's got to make a play for the Oakland Raiders right now.
It's an aging defense despite rookies that are available to play like Aaron Conley. We talked about the rookies on offense. They're not noted. This is not a speedy group. They'll be the first to admit that. And on a damp track, they're hoping it'll slow down Seattle after a gain of 21. Well, we got a couple of players going at it.
Seattle, 1st team timeout.
All right, so they called
30-second timeout.
Did the Seahawks before the play clock. Now this from Verizon. Seahawks after the timeout. They'll have 2 remaining in this half. On a 3rd down and 7, they can get a 1st down before getting into the end zone. Wilson running, being chased, and throws to the sideline. It was Arden Key who was chasing him. We just had that sack moments ago. 6'5" frame, showing some speed. The coverage was pretty good too.
Yeah, and it was just a rush of 4 guys, and they were able to affect the pressure on Russell Wilson. But a lot of that, again, it's that combination of rush and coverage, and you can see right there with the 3 wide receivers out to the left side. Nice job by the Raiders secondary, not allowing anyone to get open. Russell Wilson has to scramble.
Janikowski from 26 yards away. He's already hit 1 today, and he delivers. It's now 422 career field goals for him. He's inside the top 10 on the all-time NFL career kicking list. And after the turnover, the Seattle takeaway, the Seahawks add 3. Here in week 6, the Seahawks with a 20-0 lead, trying to even their record at 3-3. Raiders at 1-4 have trailed throughout from the opening drive when the Seahawks marched in, and the Raiders for the season are -6 in the turnover ratio.
And again, we can really look at these and go right back to what John Gruden said, trying to find 5 healthy guys that can play football on the offensive line. Sack, fumble, sack, 4th and inches for a first down, no movement, poor execution by Derek Carr. And then on that last series, another sack fumble that gave Seattle great field position.
Seahawk defense has played well against Gruden's offense. They are now +8 in the takeaway giveaway ratio. From the 25-yard line. Quick pass. He got rid of it in a hurry. And Harris make that Martavius Bryant his first catch of the game. Only Jordy Nelson and Jared Cook, they each have 1 catch so far. And that offensive line, they were already with a backup. Concussion for Amari Cooper is reported early in the second quarter as he is out for the remainder of the game.
Monday, son, Blue 80, what's up?
Marshawn Lynch, his best run of the day, a first down up to the 44-yard line.
And that's one of the things you're going to have to do. Try to establish the run. You've got different guys up there in that offensive line, but trust their preparation and give your quarterback an opportunity not to have to face this pass rush of the Seattle Seahawks while the guys up front are undermanned.
A gain of 13 for Lynch. 10 carries, 28 yards for him today. Quick pass to Jared Cook, and he's tackled as soon as he got the football at the 45-yard line. Justin Coleman from his corner spot.
Really nice job by Justin Coleman there, because that's exactly what this Raider offense is going to have to do. That ball is going to have to come out a little bit quicker. They're going to be shorter passes. It's one of those plays we saw it early in the first half. It's blocking by the wide receivers as the ball is thrown to the tight end. Justin Coleman fights through the block and makes the play.
Carr came in averaging 328 passing yards a game. That's the best any Raider quarterback has ever averaged for a season. As Rashard is tackled, he's just over 100 yards so far. McDougal making that play. Raiders are 3 scores down against Pete Carroll's reshaped defense. As Frank Clark said, we have to reestablish ourselves on defense. This isn't the Seahawks Super Bowl defense. Well, so far today, they've looked like a throwback Seattle defense. On 3rd and 6. Carr on the move, too high for Jordy Nelson. He could have run for the first down.
Top of the screen, Jordy Nelson working the in route, but again, Derek Carr, flush from the pocket, has to climb up. Does a nice job keeping his eyes downfield, just a little bit on that back shoulder.
Tyler Lockett, who hasn't been as busy as a receiver today, has just one catch. There's a flag. He's back to return the punt.
False start. Number 55 offense. 5-yard penalty remains. 4th down.
Markel Lee. So Johnny Townsend will have to back up 5 more yards. Drafted in the 5th round from Florida. The rookie punter is coming off his best game with an average slightly over 49 yards. That was against the Chargers last week. Needs a good kick here. And then the Raider defense will be back out on the field. 9 minutes, just over 9 minutes remaining in the 3rd. It's a good, short, but high kick. And knocked down at the 20. Push backwards will check the spot, but excellent special teams play by Nicholas Morrow. Here in London, the Seahawks with the lead and the football. Seahawks start from their own 20 here in the 3rd quarter. They've run the ball for nearly 90 yards, averaging almost 5 yards a carry. They came in on a hot streak running the football with 3 straight 100-yard plus performances on the ground. And Chris Carson carries the load here. Gets a good chunk of yardage up near the 25-yard line. Well, we all know beast mode when he left, and he helped them to the couple of Super Bowls and 1 Super Bowl victory. Since he's gone, they've brought in a parade of running backs, and nobody really has been able to produce for various reasons. Have they found the right combo now?
I really think they have, and it's actually one of the guys that's up there right there. Chris Carson seems to be the lead guy now. The combination with he and Mike Davis, Rashad Penny, as he starts to grow in his rookie year. I think Pete Carroll is very happy where he's at with his stable of running backs right now.
Doug Baldwin gets a 1st down. Laura.
Very happy. Pete's very happy with this stable of running backs leading up to this game and this first half. When I talked to him at halftime, he said if it wasn't for the penalties, we would have had a great half. I asked him about the balance we'd see offensively in the second half, and basically he said, what balance? He said, we want to run the ball, and run the ball. So he is feeling good about that.
Well, that will be the true test to see if this offense... George Fant coming in. There's an indication they could be running the ball. You bring in one of your big tackles to play tight end, so they're going with one of those jumbo looks. But yeah, when you can run the ball when the defense knows you want to run the ball, to take time off the clock, that's when you know you've become good.
Chris Carson knocked down at the 38-yard line. Time for a game break. Hey, Carissa, what's going on?
Well, Chris, the Vikings' opening drive of the second half is a good one. Kirk Cousins finds a familiar target, Adam Thielen, for this 13-yard touchdown. Thielen now has over 100 yards for the 6th consecutive game. Vikings lead this one 20-10. Chris?
Thank you. And in the NFC North, the Bears, who trailed early, now lead Miami by the score of 21-10 down in South Florida in the 3rd quarter. Chicago a surprise atop that division. Rams will play later against Denver. Seahawks had a close game against them at home last week. Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, another 1st down. So that's a form of running when you throw those short passes and you got Russell kind of moving with the football.
It's kind of putting a defense between a rock and a hard place. Are you going to come up and play the quarterback? Are you going to try and cover the receiver? There's Doug Baldwin, number 89, motions across. Now he's just going back to the other side of the formation. And you can see right there, Arden Key's got to make a decision. Do I drop off and cover up Doug Baldwin as he releases in that shallow route, or do I press up against Russell Wilson?
Mike Davis in at running back, gets the pitch. And well played that time, run out of bounds by Darryl Worley. Russell Wilson told us, he says, he always scrambles looking to pass first, but when the chance is there for him to take off and run, he will. Just haven't seen as much of it this year. Hasn't missed a game, hasn't missed a start since he came into the NFL. This is his 102nd start. Started every possible game. Also throwing a dozen postseason starts. After a loss of 1. Plenty of time. Baldwin has it. Did he hang on? Yes, he did. At the 10-yard line of the Raiders. He beat Darryl Worley.
That's the balance that we're talking about here. You've got the run game going. It's just a great release off the line of scrimmage. I thought maybe it was going to be a double move, but that's just a great job by Doug Baldwin getting the upfield position.
And they get to the line in a hurry without a huddle after a gain of 42 yards. Russell Wilson has it in the end zone, and it's intercepted. It's a takeaway for the Raiders, and Darryl Worley off the deflection has the pick. Russell Wilson, only his 4th interception this year, into too much traffic, and the Raiders have the football down 20. Worley, Raiders have their 6th takeaway in this, their 6th game of the season. And Marshawn Lynch works up to the 23-yard line.
Well, not just Derek Carr has to be aggressive but smart, but Russell Wilson as well. I want you to see what's going on here on this play. Doug Baldwin's going to be coming in from your left. You're trying to get him over the top, and right here you should know right now that you've got just too many guys converging on that ball, and he tries to squeeze it into a real tight window, and it costs him an interception and costs him points.
What happened to the run discussion on that Seattle sideline? Changed in a hurry on 2nd and 4. Pass is caught. Jordy Nelson for the first down. Clock continues to run. John Gruden telling us this, he likes to stimulate the quarterback. Well, as Baldwin, they're checking the right arm. And remember, his injury earlier in the year was a knee. Made some tough catches in this game. Carr has to be stimulated to try and rally this Raider team. They haven't even been close to the end zone of the Seattle Seahawks. Richard, McDougal across the 35 and a flag on the back end of that play. Richard, the leading receiver for the Raiders in this game today. 6 catches so far.
There's no foul on the play for lowering your head and initiating contact. Result of the play, 2nd down.
So that can sometimes be an offensive player too.
Oh, right? Absolutely, absolutely.
We have an injured Seahawk.
Any player, anywhere on the field, lowering the crown of the helmet and going helmet to helmet.
We'll check on the injured player and have more in a moment. Trey Flowers with a lower leg injury headed to the locker room. Richard the back. No penalty on that play. Carr incomplete. Coverage was good by Bobby Wagner. Let's take a closer look, Darryl, at what happened with Flowers.
Yeah, and I don't want to speculate on injuries, but we saw how gingerly he was walking off the field. It doesn't look like a whole lot right there as Trey Flowers comes in on the play, but right after that little contact down there on his right ankle area, he went to the ground, and you could see how tough it was for him getting off the field and into the locker room.
The Raiders, who came in with a number of big plays, they were ranked in the top 5 when you talk about explosive plays. They haven't had many, if any, today. On 3rd and 3 from their own 35. Carr has time for a big play, and he's going for it down the sideline and overthrown. Martavis Bryant, and no flags. 19 completions for Carr, but just 118 yards through the air, so they're not getting a lot of bang for their buck, just about 6 yards of completion.
Yeah, they had the one big play there in the first half to Amari Cooper, but it got called back because of a penalty. One of the reasons that it was such a huge impact on John Gruden and his team in that first half with those penalties.
Tyler Lockett back to receive the punt. A short kick that's going to fall inside the 40 and be down right away. A poor kick that'll set up the Seahawks with 3.5 remaining in the 3rd. Well, you can help people affected by Hurricane Michael. Please donate today. Go to redcross.org or text Michael, M-I-C-H-E-L, to 90999. That's 90999. And give $10 to American Red Cross Relief.
That was surprising. That storm got so big so fast. Thoughts with everybody down in that part of the country.
And thankful to all those who have volunteered, gone and helped out those in the aftermath. Seahawks nearing the 100-yard rush mark for the game as Russell Wilson keeps this time. And he'll slide maybe after a gain of a yard or two.
Yeah, I don't know if he's 100%. You know, he's one of the smarter quarterbacks in the league. When he runs the football, he doesn't take a lot of big hits. That's why he's so effective. But he just doesn't look like the same guy right now. And so they list him with the hamstring. So I do think it's having an impact on him right now. And they should be smart with that. He's too important not to be at 100%.
Already 9th among quarterbacks with over 3,300 career rushing yards. Against Russell Wilson, he lets the running back handle it there, and Carissa with another game break.
Thanks, Chris. So Kirk Cousins is going to fake the handoff and keeps it for himself for this 7-yard score. He's got his team up 27-10, but the touchdown isn't as impressive as his dance moves, which, by the way, Myers, text EA and get that beauty on Dancing with the Stars right now.
All right, I'll get Erin Andrews to see if she could work with him a little and then maybe get him on the Dancing with the Stars show. Looks like you after an end zone celebration back in your Cowboy heyday.
There will be no footage like that with me scoring a touchdown.
Wilson with all kinds of time. And Baldwin has it inside the 35 of the Raiders. You can't ask somebody to cover that long. Now, did he hang on when he hit the ground? He did. Nice grab by Baldwin. And they're hurrying to the line.
Yeah, this is the third time they've had a play that might be questionable with a replay, and they're hustling up to the line. But just the luxury of the time in the pocket right there for Russell Wilson that we have not seen for Derek Carr today.
Gain of 23 on that last play as Mike Davis is knocked backwards. One of the better run stops by the Raiders today, and Emmanuel Lemur making the play. Wilson nearing the 200-yard passing mark. Extra lineman in here. After no gain from the 35. One more field goal would take it beyond really the simple 3-score format. Wilson with room to run. Will keep it this time and slide right around the first down marker. And a flag comes down at the 25. Bruce Irvin, the former Seahawk.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, lowering your head, hitting a defenseless player. Number 51 defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And he's called for the penalty.
You can see.
No, really, he was diving. I mean, he missed him.
Yeah, I didn't.
I don't think he led with the head as much as he was trying to make a play. It might have been a little contact there.
You can see why it was called. I don't agree with the call.
And our rules analyst, Dean Blandino, watching back there, said she could have let that one go. So it's a first down at the 13-yard line and just over a minute to go in the third quarter. Just when you thought the Raider defense had Seattle in check. Chris Carson to the 10-yard line.
Nice job by Rashawn Melvin in the open field right there. We've seen a couple of times today with either Chris Carson or Mike Davis out, you know, on the edges, and that's what they try to do today. You try to get these running backs out on the edges against cornerbacks. You like that matchup, and that was a nice open field tackle by Rashawn Melvin.
Carson averaging over 4 yards a carry in this game, and he remains in on 2nd down 7. Seahawks have led from the opening drive. They pitch to Tyler Lockett and tackled right away. An alert play by the Raider defense. Shalik Calhoun making a solid play for the Raiders, but it's been the Seattle defense with a couple of takeaways that has them shutting out Oakland. Getting into Wembley Stadium for an NFL game, it's a big deal. Look at how fast these people, well, we sped this up a little bit, somewhere you and I are in there to try to dodge the raindrops and get in. And a record crowd, 84,922, the most ever for a London NFL game. And thanks for watching wherever you're watching, and those that have the opportunity to come and attend in person here. Russell Wilson on the run for the end zone. Touchdown, Seahawks. Jaron Brown will leaping. Make that Tyler Lockett leaping on the toss from Russell Wilson.
This is where Russell Wilson gets you that ability. Chris, you mentioned it earlier that when he scrambles, he's looking to throw. Here's a great example of it as he finds Tyler Lockett. You're going to get the protection breakdown, but he's going to step up in the pocket. Watch his eyes down the field, able to get it into the center of the field for a touchdown.
Third touchdown pass of this game for Russell Wilson. One to Moore, one to Brown, and one to Lockett. What a way to open the fourth quarter. Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers enjoying the game from our perch here at Wembley Stadium. Well, the Raiders have big issues, but the Seahawks look like, and with the Rams in the NFC West, every win important here, maybe a wild card in the big picture. But they're on to something here with the way their defense is playing and the way their offense is rolling.
Yeah, and that was probably the biggest takeaway from the game last week against the Rams is they let that one get out of their reach. They had a chance to win that one at the end and didn't do it. But the one thing that they did get out of that game was this new identity. Now, I expect this to kind of continue to change over the course of the year. We've seen Russell Wilson with some shots down the field to some of the players on the offensive side of the ball. This is not going to become 3 yards in a cloud of dust. This is going to be a physical offensive line, running the football effectively. But then you've seen Russell Wilson the last 2 weeks, 3 touchdown passes last week, 3 more again this week. They get into the red zone. It's a different type of offense down there, but that play action pass with the big plays down the field will be key for them moving forward.
And fourth straight game over 100 yards rushing as Pete Carroll has the enthusiasm of a 27-year-old and has talked about, this Seattle changing, especially on defense, and we'll get into that because he called it kind of like graduation, the graduating class in college where the guys move on. Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett and the Legion of Boom names that many are familiar with. And new players have to step up and establish this new identity defense for this Seahawks team. Well, we want to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching today's broadcast in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thanks for all you do, and we hope you're enjoying the broadcast here from Wembley Stadium in London. Raiders and the Seahawks have the bye, the off week after this game, as now the teams that travel over here in London, the league has set that up so they can rest up from the 25-yard line. Marshawn Lynch across the 30.
We talk about how physical he is when he runs the football, but he's got great feet. And, it was funny, Russell Wilson told us, he goes, one of the things I miss about Marshawn being a teammate is just watching him run. I'd hand the ball off and I'd watch him. And, he was amazed at some of the things he could do from an athletic standpoint. So it's not just that physicality that he brings to the running back position. He's very agile for a big man.
In his 11th year from Cal, and boy, when he came from Buffalo to Seattle, he changed the Seahawks identity. And now helping the Raiders in any way he can on the reception. Short of the first down at the 35-yard line. And looks like they're going to spot that, give him the forward progress. Raiders just hoping to avoid a shutout now. They really haven't been in the red zone for this game. It was a field goal miss, a 4th and short that they couldn't convert. Quick pass to Seth Roberts, goes out of bounds up across the 40.
We talked to John Gruden on Friday, and it's been quite a while since he left the coaching sidelines and went to the booth, and now he's back on the sideline. And one of the things I wanted to know was just the differences in the game, and one of the ones that he's dealing with right now with his team is kind of that continuity of the roster, and it's not just from season to season with free agency. I think a lot of this has to do with CBA and these guys not really being ready for the physical part and the kind of the start to the season, and he's dealing with a rash of injuries right at his offensive line. It's really impacted him.
Carr will keep and wisely slide for the first down. Yeah, he talked as if, well, he said we got 8 rookies playing, and there'll probably be more by the end of the year, even though this is the oldest roster. I mean, he wants to win through the course of this changeover. He thought when he took the job, he thought he'd have Khalil Mack along with Derek Carr, and those are good building blocks on each side of the ball to get the Raiders back to the level of greatness that he once experienced. But it didn't work out that way. He's got some draft picks in the future with Mack in Chicago. Bouchard stopped short of the 48. Raiders playing in this their 4th international game, come in with a 1-2 record. It's their 2nd London trip. They had a loss to the Dolphins their previous game here as Lynch is working on his helmet over there. Martavis Bryant, receiver, bottom of your screen. He showed up on the injury list with an illness at the last moment the other day. Carr throws to Bryant and room to run for a first down inside the 40.
Again, just some of these quick pass routes that you need to really kind of focus on the outside is Martavis Bryant, number 12, and just get it out quick. And here comes Jordy Nelson out to get a block. You've got one of your offensive linemen, Colt Miller, coming out from that left tackle spot, but getting that ball out quick, getting it into the hands of your playmakers, and knowing that you can't hold that ball because of all those injuries in that offensive line.
And Trey Flowers, who left with cramps, a probable return. Nico Thorpe has moved over and played that corner spot since we saw him head to the sideline. After a gain of 12, time, but he goes underneath to Seth Roberts and ruled down even though the ball came out. Justin Coleman tried to shake it loose, and now Roberts is laid out. Remember, Cooper is out of this game with a concussion. And Brandon LaFell is inactive. We will check on the Seth Roberts injury as we continue here on the NFL on Fox. And looks like we're going to have a challenge on that last play. Seth Roberts was able to get up and walk over to the Raiders sideline. And I don't know if Pete Carroll thinks that that ball was fumbled. It was ruled down right away. So if the whistle blows and the play is stopped, this could be an issue. And it is a challenge.
And you wouldn't think he's going just for maybe the incomplete pass because it wasn't a large gain. So let's see, there's possession established right there. And does that ball come loose before that knee hits the ground?
Our rules analyst, Dean Blandino, watching as he always does from Los Angeles. Dean, what do you see?
Yeah, 2 things. First, we have to establish, is it a catch? And it looks like he does put it away, make a football move. And then, did the ball come loose prior to that knee hitting the ground? It does look like the ball starts to come loose, and there is a clear recovery by Seattle. And so if they rule this a fumble, then the ball is going to go to Seattle at the spot of the recovery. And
so that doesn't...
Look at these angles.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dean. It doesn't matter if the whistle blew or the official pointed as if he was down.
It doesn't matter. So you don't worry about the whistle and replay. Is the ball recovered in that immediate continuing action? And if that's the case, then you can give the ball to the recovering team.
And the adjusted verbiage on a catch, it's still 2 feet, football move. There has to be an order to that, as you've explained.
Correct. It's control, 2 feet, and then the ability to perform an act common to the game, football move. And so that's what they're going to be looking at first, and then they're going to be looking at whether it's a fumble.
All right. Thank you very much, Dean Blandino. So he thinks, and after a second look,
it does look like it's coming out. I agree with Dean. You know, that left arm, it looks like it's coming free before that knee hits.
And it looked like Shamar Stephan came up with the football after Coleman pulled it away, but we'll check the ruling. Remember, on the field,
I would say by Pete's expression, it's not going his way at that point.
well, that's interesting. If they said, hey, he ruled him down, defense is still out there in a 27-0 game with 11 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Russell Wilson with 3 touchdown passes. Derek Carr has been under a heavy rush all day.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. The receiver was down by contact. Second down or third down, Oakland.
Are we sure about that? All right, Dean Blandino does not agree, even after further review. But it's a lost timeout and challenge for Pete Carroll. Raiders from the 37.
I think the same reaction from Dean Blandino back in LA.
He had
very similar to Pete Carroll right
same
there.
reaction. Well, he can afford to smile at 27-0 despite the missed opportunity. And to clarify, it is second down and 8 to go. Slight confusion there by Principal Morelli.
Blue 80. Is that?
Carr steps up. And he's keeping it. Got a lot of room, sliding at the 20. A couple of Seahawks run into each other afterwards. One of the bigger offensive plays by this Raider team today.
Yeah, and it's because they shored up their protection. They're going to try and take a shot down the field, but it's only a 2-man round. They've just got 2 guys out. You've got everybody else back in protection. And surprised that Derek Carr was able to get that much yardage on that scramble with just 2 guys out and not man coverage by Seattle.
He's run 4 times today for over 30 yards. None of those by design. The one designed, he needed a yard. He couldn't get it on 4th down. Nearing the half.
Kill! Here we go.
Okay, so you heard a
Blue 80. Is that?
adjustments in Marshawn Lynch. He almost busted through. Shaquille Griffin wrapped him up.
Well, I know that Pete Carroll's not going to be real happy right now because one of the big things that's happened during his era as head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, they have always won the scoring battle in the fourth quarter. Every season under Pete Carroll, they have won the scoring battle in the fourth quarter. This year, they are behind that for the first time ever. They were outscored 9-0 by the Rams last week in that loss. And here's an area right here. They just went up by 7 in the fourth quarter on that last drive, and now they're allowing Oakland to come right down the field again.
Well, part of that, and we have a timeout for the Raiders, you look at the defensive players that have changed over the years, and even more recently, those players that have moved on from this Seattle team. We mentioned earlier in the Super Bowl team. The once mighty Seahawk defense, this is just from since the end of last season. Michael Bennett up front, Jeremy Lane and Maxwell. That secondary, Sherman is now a 49er. Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas out with significant injury.
Yeah, and that's the big one right there. I mean, that's what this defense was built around, that back end, and really that guy in particular, Cam Chancellor. I just thought that, you know, the Legion of Boom all began with Cam Chancellor. And last week, the first time with Earl Thomas out, that group in the back end did not have one of the original members of the Legion of Boom. So a big transition for this Seattle franchise on the defensive side of the ball.
Blue 80. Is that?
Carr is sacked at the 25-yard line. Shamar Stephan. And he gets another sack. That's the 5th for this Seahawk defense. Laura.
I'm going to stay with the injuries you guys were talking about, but I'm moving it, unfortunately, for Raiders fans over to the Oakland side because, as Gruden talked about at halftime, he didn't know what he was going to do, already shuffling the offensive line without his top receiver. Now add Seth Roberts to the list. He is out with a concussion.
2 receivers down, LaFell inactive, so you really have Jordy Nelson, Dwayne Harris, mostly a return specialist, and Martavis Bryant. You would think they would get to Jared Cook more. They have 3 tight ends in on this snap. And trying to run up the middle, knocked down at the 25-yard line. Jaron Reed.
And that's the thing you got to be careful about right now with Derek Carr. I mean, you've got everybody banged up in that offensive line, and you're down, your defense is just, they're in full pass rush mode. And you're going to see right here at the end of the play, the defender right there that comes in over the top, and he immediately grabs for the upper arm on his left arm.
This could be catastrophic. Remember, he led the Raiders to the playoffs in 2016 as a wild card, but broke his fibula in week 16. It was not available for the playoffs back then. It's a 43-yard try, and this time Matt McCrane delivers. Raiders are on the board. Their quarterback is hurting. Seahawks in control. Under 8.5 to play in the fourth quarter. Derek Carr throwing on the sideline for the medical staff and coaches, and signaled as if to say, I'm all right. Of course, he throws with his right arm, and he was grasping his left arm in pain, excruciating pain by the look of it. And that last sack, although they did get 3. Rashad Penny fumbles the football, is on it at the 5, and gets past some Raiders up to the 15.
Let's go back and take a look at the hit, and I just want you to see the grimace of pain on Derek Carr's face as he's getting up and leaving the field. And at 27-3 right now, and if he comes over to me and says, hey, I'm good, I'm fine, I mean, right here, look at the pain on his face, and he's help getting up.
Right there.
It just, okay, listen, I love you, you're a warrior, but sometimes as a head coach, you got to protect the player from himself. And right now, I don't know if Derek Carr I do know Derek Carr does not need to be back out on that field. He's in a situation right now where you've got to protect him from himself.
He is your most valuable Raider. You've invested in him, and at this stage, not worth it. Seahawks over 300 total yards as Penny carries. The Raiders under 200 total yards.
All right, now this is where we're going to find out if Seattle really has that identity right now. You got 8:04 left in the game. You're up 27-3. You know, let's see this offensive line now come off the ball, running the football, just grind this clock out. A lot of people call it 4-minute offense. Let's see if you can pull off a 7-minute and 50-second offense right here.
Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator. Pete Carroll's assistants different from those last year, with Ken Norton Jr. on one side, Brian Schottenheimer steering the offense. Penny carries. Let's get another game break with Kurt.
Brock Osweiler started for the Dolphins today for the injured Ryan Tannehill, and he's leading them to the comeback against the Bears. This is him hooking up with Albert Wilson for a 43-yard score, and then getting the 2-point conversion to Kenny Stills. Down 21-10 at one point. It's now 21-21 with 5 minutes left.
All right, thank you, Kurt. That deserves a while. Throwing across the 30. Brandon Marshall with a catch, his first of this game. You know, last week he did not have a catch, and it ended his string of 168 games with at least one reception. Spotted at the 31, a first down for the Seahawks, who will get another shot at the Rams. Their schedule does get tough after their bye week. Take a look at that a little bit later, but they have corrected the 0-2 start. Wilson completes, run out of bounds around the 34 is rookie Rashad Penny.
Well, we talk about this running game, but everything in Seattle always goes through number 3, and he's really benefiting from this production in the running game. You know, a lot of these play action passes, you can still see right there the ability to extend a play, eyes always down the field, and you know, really, I mean, 3 touchdown passes last week and then lost to the Rams, 3 more touchdown passes this week, so the efficiency in the passing game is still there.
First quarterback in NFL history with a winning record in his first 7 seasons. They won't need him as much today, but set an NFL record with 19 fourth quarter touchdown passes in 2017. they started that opening drive, sent a message running the football. Doug Baldwin, when healthy, is Russell's favorite target, but now he's got Tyler Lockett and David Moore to go to. And each of them have a touchdown and catch along with Teron Brown today. Mike Davis gets another first down up to the 45, and the clock continues to run. Mike Davis was with the 49ers in his third season, so you have Chris Carson with Davis, and then the rookie from San Diego State, Rashad Penny.
And you saw the stats by Russell Wilson, 222 yards passing today. This was one of the things that was surprising to me. One of 4 quarterbacks to start every game that still hasn't thrown for 300. He had 298 early in the season, one of those losses, but it shows you the efficiency at the position, because one of his highest ratings was actually last week against the Rams with under 200 yards passing.
And that running game has been there to complement that. Penny carries. And really the addition of DJ Fluker on the offensive line, along with J.R. Sweezy, who was away with Tampa Bay and injured and has come back to Seattle, they've settled in. And even with the injuries at tight end, Will Dissly went on the injured list. Ed Dixon has been hurt. Nick Van Ed is out today with the back injury. They have held up well.
6'4", 315 at left tackle, 6'5", 310 at left guard, 6'6", 315 at center, 6'5", 342 for DJ Fluker, 6'5", 325 at right tackle. That is a big offensive line that you're going to have to handle for 60 minutes.
Penny gets to midfield.
And you don't think they love this part of the game right here? You know, we challenged them to go 7:50, you know, a 7-minute 50-second offense. Let's see if you can do that. And look at what they've done. They've taken over 4.5 minutes off that clock, just putting their hands down, coming off the football. All 5 of those guys love to be in this position. They've got that mentality to build a great run game behind.
And over 130 yards on the ground for the Seattle team. It's been mostly Carson, Penny, and Davis, and Russell Wilson chipping in here and there. Davis is in now. Pete Carroll says he'll go with the hot-handed running back. Russell Wilson keeps, and he'll make sure he stays in bounds, sliding for the first down.
You just can't defend it all. You can't defend power inside and athletic ability on the edge. And right there, you've been running inside. You can see right there, just not enough to get out to the edge to protect against Russell Wilson with the football.
And he's run for over 500 yards in 5 of his 6 previous seasons. This year he was at the lowest level, on pace for under 200. But that could change the healthier he gets. 4 rushes today for 22 yards.
That's right.
And Rashad Penny takes this down to the 40 as we hit the 2-minute warning. The London Eye and our eye on the Seahawks, and an outstanding performance here in Wembley. Aerial coverage brought to you by State Farm, and a good look at the pitch. They play a lot of soccer here at Wembley. State Farm postgame show coming up. All the scores and highlights, a lot of close games. As Rashard Penny turns the corner. And from San Diego State, churning upfield. Seahawks, you know where they are, you would figure, but coming to London here, most traveled team in the NFL this season and preseason. By the time they complete the year, you see the miles. That's, I think, like going around the globe twice, right? Even with all your air mile points. But look, the Raiders are right behind them. In fact, all of these teams on this list for this season will be playing in the international series overseas, where fans from all over enjoy a taste of the NFL.
That's right. Ready. That's right.
The trip well worth it for the Seahawks and their fans. And the Raiders for John Gruden, a home game that should have known from the beginning when it was Seattle-like weather.
Well, he's got to use this bye week to its fullest and get some of these guys healthy. It's just such a hard situation to be in when one group gets hit by the injury bug, and to have it be your offensive line, to be that group. I mean, it takes away your running game ability, your pass protection. Thank God Derek Carr was not seriously hurt. I was really, really concerned when I saw him get up immediately after that play. So that's the one saving grace from the performance today is Derek Carr was not as seriously hurt as we thought he was.
39 seconds remaining. We have a timeout. We'll continue from London in a moment. Pete Carroll eyeing the schedule now that this one's in the bank, and what they say, the fixture, the next up, the bye off week, then the Lions. Victory formation for Seattle. Get the Chargers and the Rams. Meanwhile, after the off week for the Raiders, they take on the Colts, and then they're at San Francisco. I hope Derek Carr is okay. Toughing it out. And a lopsided game in London. Russell Wilson, 3 touchdown passes. Operating a smooth running attack for the Seahawks.
And I really do think that he was speaking the truth. You know, they have turned a corner. You know, they figured out something over these last 3 weeks, now these 4 weeks. Now, when you start to get comfortable with throwing the football, this is a team to keep your eye on.
And he's found David Moore, another explosive receiver. We'll have more from London and the final here in Wembley Stadium in just a moment.